Thanks for watching this portion of Garage Logic on our YouTube channel, and thanks to our friends at Everest Men's Health for supporting this. Go to everestmenshealth.com to see if their team can help you with stronger energy and better health. And catch the Garage Logic podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
We have to clear something up. I've got a number of emails, all similar to what Bill Stein sent. On yesterday's news portion of the podcast, John proclaimed, and you chimed in, that President Trump was guilty of freeing the Taliban leaders. B as in B. In 2014, it was Obama who traded the top Taliban leaders from Gitmo for the turncoat deserter Bo Bergdahl. And he, like other emailers, has linked me to a piece that appeared in the New York Post on Monday, written by Paul Sperry. And it did indeed indicate that when President Barack Obama released 5 Taliban commanders from the Guantanamo Bay prison in exchange for an American deserter in 2014, he assured a wary public that the dangerous enemy combatants would be transferred to Qatar and kept from causing any trouble in Afghanistan. In fact, they were left free to engineer Sunday's sacking of Kabul. Soon after gaining their freedom, some of the notorious Taliban 5 pledged to return to fight Americans in Afghanistan and made contacts with active Taliban militants there, but the Obama-Biden administration turned a blind eye to the disturbing intelligence reports, and it wasn't long before the freed detainees used Qatar as a base to form a regime in exile. Eventually, they were recognized by Western diplomats as official representatives of the Taliban during recent peace talks. What do you say to that, John?
Way to go, John.
Well, I'm guilty,
February of 2020, the Trump administration negotiated a withdrawal agreement with the Taliban that excluded the Afghan government, freed 5,000 imprisoned Taliban soldiers, and set a date certain of May 1st, 2021 for a final withdrawal.
Earlier this year, one of them, Kurahala Kakawawa, actually sat across the table from President Biden's envoy to Afghanistan, and it goes on to say that. Well, then we've had flaws by Obama, Trump, and Biden in this bungled situation over there.
Yeah, well, and you could go back to W too.
Go back to W,
where it all started.
So what? The original mission was to ferret out bin Laden.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, what happened?
It got messed up.
Too many people began making too much money.
Yeah.
By the way, did you read where the president of the so-called president of Afghanistan who fled the country, he left with $169 million of your money, 4 cars, and a helicopter full of cash, and he went to the United Arab Emirates, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce this phony's name, but he took, this is being reported, that he took $169 million in cash.
Goodness.
So we should send him 500 more?
Isn't that something?
We should send him 500, another 500 mil.
The description actually said it was falling on the tarmac as he was approaching.
It's literally cash.
Is he buddies with Jennifer Carnahan?
Not that I'm aware of.
Kenny.
Taking some of the heat off, John. You're welcome, John.
I just spouted the truth here. I got nothing.
Well, you know what? There's enough blame to go around, beginning with W, and then Obama, and then Trump, and now Biden.
Well, look what we're doing.
I agree completely.
Look what we're doing.
Well,
We're doing whataboutism right now.
yeah.
And the finger pointing, it gets us nowhere. I'm not saying us. I'm just saying the collective us. It gets us nowhere.
Such, when you said too many people are making too much money, who are you referring to?
The industrial war industry. I mean, people who make bullets and guns and tanks and Humvees and airplanes and compasses and walkie-talkies and cell phones.
So where do you think the Taliban is getting all of their arsenal?
Well, they're now using ours.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
another thing.
That's good.
Why didn't you destroy that stuff? Because now there's a tank sitting there with a key in it. And airplanes.
What do you mean destroy it?
Just what I said. Wreck it. Rather than leave them fully functioning, wonderful equipment, why not just have destroyed it as part of your withdrawal plan?
Or bring it home.
Yeah. Nothing makes sense to me anymore about anything. That's pretty much where my head's at.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense to me.
The footage, the videos and whatnot coming from over there that's pretty tough to watch.
What's absolute BS and should be evident to everyone is that the Taliban is not accommodating anyone. They're not accommodating a safe withdrawal of air passengers. Some of those planes are flying with 7 people on them because they can't get in there. The Taliban have the airport surrounded. There's nothing to be expected from these people.
Joe, I don't know what you're talking about because this just appeared, 10 o'clock this morning, the United States, and this is on official White House letterhead.
Yeah.
The U.S., along with, I believe, 20 other countries, have called on the Taliban to protect the rights of women and girls. So I think right there, we're good.
So we're good. We're good.
That piece of paper ought to put fear in their eyes.
You know they're going to live up to
Heads,
that.
fear in their heads.
They're not going to live up to anything because they have nothing to live up to.
Right.
You talk about moral and ethical bankruptcy. These people never had it to begin with.
Listen to this letter. It's 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read the first one because this is so absurd that people actually wasted time to do this.
Is this on White House stationery?
White House stationery, Joe. This is a joint statement on the situation of women and girls in Afghanistan. We are deeply worried about Afghan women and girls, their rights to education, work, and freedom of movement. We call on those in positions of power and authority across Afghanistan to guarantee their protection. What the hell is that going to do?
Well, that's laughable.
What is this going to do?
Well, first of all, can these idiots even read? They got anybody in their
That's a
ranks
good
who
point.
can read?
That's a good point.
Well, they're probably all Oxford educated at the highest ranks, and I'm not being facetious. The president, what the hell was the president's name who fled, John? He was...
Ghani, Ashraf Ghani.
Yeah. Wasn't he educated in the United States?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What the hell do you think is going to happen? These people living by about a 6th century ethic. Note that where our concern seems to lie, and I'm not diminishing the problems women and girls are going to have, it's just horrid. But we're consumed with the wokeness aspect of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Never mind the trillions of dollars and the murders and the deaths. And I make sure you call everybody by their right pronoun.
They're putting bullets in the heads of kids that took down their flag.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, they're raping young boys, Chris. How do the wokers feel about the rape of young boys?
Meanwhile, we had probably a team of 30 idiots at the White House that sat around and put this piece of paper together. Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, that ought to stop them.
I repeat what I said yesterday. I can certainly understand the wisdom of forgetting this game. Get out of there. I get that. These people are hopeless. They can't be governed. They can't form a government. They can't fight. They have no idea about the sacredness of freedom. Mm-hmm. They're a lost cause, which is a terrible, sad situation. They're a lost cause. So, yes, getting out of there makes a great deal of sense. But again, it was done so poorly and so catastrophically that it just makes the U.S. look incredibly weak and incompetent.
Yep.
You didn't do anything about the military hardware. You didn't do any contingency planning to get people out of there. As recently as last month, Biden said it'll never happen. The Taliban cannot overtake that country. They have 300,000 trained army people, and they're only about 75,000. It's not even plausible, Biden said. That was a month ago.
Mm-hmm. Joe,
His people in the Pentagon tried to tell him, you're going to be in for a hell of a whopping here, you know.
And he still didn't listen. What was your line you just said? It made the U.S. look, what was that again?
Weak and incompetent.
Joe,
Yeah.
We are right now weak and incompetent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're a laughing stock, that's for sure.
Well, what in the... Geopolitically, how long will the United States be safe from an attack as these cave dwellers warm up to hosting more and more terrorism groups?
Using our equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to think that we are, but I don't know.
How dangerous is the situation in Pakistan? They got about 160 nuclear warheads.
Yeah.
These cave dwellers can march across the border and just take that over if they wanted to.
Nobody in this administration is ready to deal with that. You know, we're too busy teaching critical race theory and worried about pronouns.
All right, let me put my tinfoil hat on quick before I say this next sentence. You ready?
I don't think there's any such thing anymore as a tinfoil hat. I think everything's in play.
Do you remember the months leading up to the election?
Sure.
And we said that basically Biden was just going to be a figurehead and they're going to send him off to the corner to eat ice cream and then just remove him from office at some point?
Yep.
Is that going to happen right
I
now
don't
because
know.
of this?
I don't think so. No. But he's having trouble finding allies.
You think?
He's being criticized widely from both parties. Mm-hmm. And I think the likes of CNN are really struggling to put together a narrative somehow defending him. And they're failing. They can't. The images are too powerful.
Well, Such, nobody under him who we suspect of pulling his strings, none of them are competent enough to deal with this situation. Like I said, we're pronouns and CRT and, you know, the like.
Victor Davis Hanson, whose writing I admire greatly. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I'm going to thoroughly digest it later today and talk about it tomorrow. And again, make an attempt to have him on the show. He's analyzed this attack on whiteness in a very intelligent and frightening way. I'll have more on that when a number of emailers alerted me to the piece, and I have it now, and I'll read it and make my notes later today and talk about it tomorrow.
I thought no, that is not the piece we printed last week.
No.
What is it called?
I don't have it in front of me. Oh, is racism now moral? Moral. Basically, what he's suggesting is that what's being done to whiteness was the same thing done in Germany to Jewishness.
Ooh.
That Jewishness was to be blamed for the collapse of the German economy, and that Jewishness prevailed, and now the same thing is happening in this country with whiteness thought to be bad. That whiteness is the controlling factor and must be eliminated.
Oof.
Well, just a minute.
You're going to go get it.
No, just a minute. Yeah.
Okay, Joe's going to...
After
It's funny.
brief interlude.
Joe's leaving.
No, it's funny because he's bringing up something that I alerted him to a couple of weeks ago, and then again this morning, an editorial in the Star Tribune, July 12th, 2021, headline, "Are the Taliban really all that different from us?"
John
and this
or
guy,
Kenny?
Hold on, John, Joe. And this guy in this editorial basically blames white people for everything and compares white people to the Taliban and
Which
says that we're
editorial are
the
you talking
problem.
about?
I'm talking about the one I reminded you of before we started, the one from July 12th.
John
But go
or
ahead.
Kenny, look up Damon Young,
Demon.
a New York Times contributor. In his most recent piece called "Is Racism Moral Now?", Victor Davis Hanson starts by quoting from Damon Young's piece that appeared in the New York Times. I don't know when it appeared on the New York Times. I don't know what race Damon Young is.
Damon Young is a black man,
Yep.
but there are tons of articles. You don't have a title, do you, by any chance? The
No.
absurdity of being black. That's from the New York Times.
Well, here's how Victor Davis Hanson starts his most recent piece called "Is Racism Moral Now?" He's quoting from Damon Young. "Whiteness is a public health crisis. It shortens life expectancies. It pollutes air. It constricts equilibrium. It devastates forests. It melts ice caps. It sparks and funds wars. It flattens dialects. It infests consciousness, and it kills people. Over the past year, I, of course, still had to interact with white people on Zoom or watch them on television or worry about whether they would succeed in re-electing a white supremacist president. but white people aren't in my face all the time. I can more or less only deal with whiteness when I want to. White people haven't improved. I've just been able to limit my exposure to them. That was a quote from Ellie Mistel in The Nation. The first one, whiteness is a public health crisis, that's Damon Young in the New York Times. And Victor begins, racism is the destructive bias against and often hatred of an entire racial group. It is often birthed by dislike of particular individuals of a given group that supposedly justifies, by extension, disliking or indeed hating all of them. The popular reaction against the widespread toxic pathology shown African Americans birthed the anti-slavery movement, the Civil War, the resistance to Jim Crow, and the modern civil rights movement, right? But now there grows a strange new historical anti-racism. One variety encourages holistic hatred, blaming all of one's own unhappiness, indeed all of the cosmic injustice in the man-made and natural world, the very air, water, and earth, on a white radical collective. And I'll read. It's 12 pages, so I'm not going to sit here and read the whole thing.
A white racial collective.
What did I say? Radical? I'm sorry. White racial collective.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's
Just-
right.
Oh, absolutely. It's just amazing. And look at these principles we talked about yesterday. 162
62.
principles who want to decenter whiteness. They want to. They're up to no good. Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
But they're all, and we stated this yesterday, but most of those schools are near the country's tallest buildings.
So do they think these principals signing up for this critical race theory business is going to save them from the re-education camps that all white people are going to be put in?
I guess so.
No, they'll be in there right next to us.
Do we keep